because you want to imagine a circle of compassion and then imagine nobody standing outside that circle. You try to imagine a community of cherished belonging where no one is left out. And you go from here because you want to stand with a particularity with the poor and the powerless and the voiceless. You go from here wanting, longing to stand with the demonized so that the demonizing will stop. And to stand with the disposable so that the day will come when we stop throwing people away. And you brace yourselves as you go to the margins because the world will accuse you of wasting your time there. But the prophet Jeremiah writes, "For in this place of which you say it is a waste, there will be heard again the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voices of those who sing."
These pages engulfed me in a love so true, so compassionate, and so tender that I wanted nothing more than to stay engulfed in that love. And it helped me to remember how much God longs for a relationship with each of us, and how so many times it's our own feelings of guilt, shame, and unworthiness that keep us from experiencing that relationship.
I can remember once I had a spiritual director many years ago who said to me, "You know, we need a better God than the one we have." He was a Jesuit. But of course he was right, you know, because of course that's true. We settled, you know. Obviously we're created in God's image. But the problem is that we've created God in our image. My friend Annie Lalott says, you know you've created God in your own image when God hates the same people you do. He picks up and he says, "The Lord is exhausted." And he said, "What the hell?" And it was, "The Lord is exalted." And I remember thinking at the time, wow, that's way better. And you know what exhausted is? It's extensive, it's loving. How was your weekend? Oh my God, I'm exhausted. The grandkids were over, but oh, it's a good tired. We had a great time. You understand what exhausted is. It's other-centered. It's loving-centered. Meister Eckhart always talks about the wild God. And he kind of was put in the penalty box by the church because the church wanted the unapproachable God. And Meister Eckhart wanted the God who was whispering to us, "Come closer. Please come closer."
I went through the program. I am now a senior staff member at Homeboys. You know, on the weekends, my dad would come and pick us up, you know, take us out for the weekend, you know, weekend dad thing. But by the time I was 12, he stopped coming around. That kind of, I guess you could say, I don't want to say messed me up, but it was something that I didn't quite understand. I started rebelling, giving my mom trouble at home, staying out in the streets, not listening to her, and I got involved in the gangs. I went through the drugs, the alcohol, the whole bit growing up. I believe the first time I got arrested, I was 12 years old for stealing a car. I just had that problem of not wanting to listen, do my own thing. And it cost me most of my life in prison. I've been in and out of prison for the last, I want to say 32 years I've done in prison. I'm 59 years old. Like I said, I paroled in 2021. I was able to get back into school through Homeboy Industries. I received my AA, transferable in psychology, along with a couple of other associate's degrees that I have, arts and humanities, social and behavioral science. In August, I will be attending Cal State LA to begin my bachelor's program in social work.
You receive the tender glance. You choose to be the tender glance in the world. You discover the generosity of God, and then you discover that you are the generosity of God.
It's been a great experience coming to Oregon. I've never been here before, never been on a plane. It was kind of scary. But I went to Jeep when I was about 13, 14 years old. I'm 31 now. I've been in and out of, juvenile systems, adult system. I've been addicted to drugs. I've been on the streets. You name it. I've been there. But one thing about G was that no matter where I've been, no matter what I've done, he was always there with open arms, usually people judge you, or they'll look at you and be like, hey man, this guy, he's a druggie or he's on the streets or whatnot, But now I'm a G, or not at Homeboy Industries, I have 5 children of my own now that I gotta look after, that haven't really been in their lives, and I want to reconnect with them. I have my certification to be a peer support specialist for a rehab, and it's it's all coming together, and it's real heartwarming for me, it's really getting to me, I'm finally doing good, I'm about to be a year sober, and it's and G's always there to give you a hug and tell you, I love you, son. That's the first thing G tells you every time he sees you. Or good morning, or how you feeling. And that's helped me out, I'm doing it to my enemies now. I've done it to dudes that I hate.
Or LAPD deemed my parish, my exact parish, as the place of the highest concentration of gang activity in all of Los Angeles. I buried my first young person killed because of the sadness in 1988, and a month ago I buried my 260th. Third floor was the convent, and so I sat the nuns down, there were about 8 of them, in the living room, and I said, hey, would you guys mind, moving out? And we could turn the convent into a school for gang members. They looked at each other and they said, sure. So I said, there's an abandoned bakery across the street from the school. You could buy it. It has ovens. They don't work, but you could fix them. I don't know, we could put hairnets on rival enemy gang members that could bake bread. I don't know, we'll call it Homeboy Bakery. Literally that was the extent of my business plan. Not everything worked, I'll be the first to admit it. Homeboy Plumbing really was not successful. Who knew? At Homeboy, we're allergic to the idea of holding the bar up and asking folks to measure up, mainly because our exhausted God never does this. Instead, we hold the mirror up and we say, you're exactly what God had in mind when God made you. Every single man or woman who walks through our doors comes barricaded behind a wall of shame and disgrace, as you were mentioned. And the only thing that can scale that wall is tenderness. Understanding that no hopeful kid has ever joined a gang, ever in the history of the world. And no kid is seeking anything when he joins a gang. Every single gang member is fleeing something. And at Homeboy, you want people to see their truth, that they're unshakably good and that they belong. And after 18 months, they've kind of gained some essential foundational healing, and they become resilient and sturdy because they know the truth of who they are, and they have found their true selves in loving. And then they leave us after 18 months. and the world will throw at them what it will, but this time they won't be toppled. That the measure of health in any community at all, including this one, may well reside in our ability to stand in awe at what the poor have to carry, rather than stand in judgment at how they carry it.